Hi there YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. It's that time of the month, namely the end of the month, when I show you the things I've used up or generally am throwing out in my little wicker basket. And this month it's quite a lot of things that I'm throwing out even though I haven't actually used them up. So I thought it was kind of appropriate to show this jumble to begin with. The reason I'm throwing some things out that I haven't actually finished is that I've been having a bit of a sort out. I think spring does that to me. The beginning of the year, spring, the beginning of autumn, I kind of think, oh, I want to simplify and get rid of stuff, and that's particularly been the case this year. And I just have so much makeup and cosmetics where I've double bought things or take me ages to use things, and I find it really hard to throw away unfinished items because I think, oh, it's a waste of money. But the truth is, the money's already wasted if you're not using it, so you've got to get rid. So here goes. There are some things that I have actually finished up and liked. One of them is this, although it looks as if there's some left in the bottle, and there is. The downside is with this product is it's very difficult to get it all out of the bottle. This is the Frederic Fekkai. This is the conditioner, and this is the shampoo. This is the full volume shampoo, which I really, really liked, and the Technician Colour Care conditioner. I think I got them on sale because they're horrendously expensive anywhere, but particularly in the UK or Europe generally. I think he's American or Canadian, I'm not sure. It is cheaper in the States, but it's still a kind of premium brand, but I really notice a difference. I don't spend normally a huge amount on hair care. I spend a lot on hair care, having my hair done, coloured, cut, that kind of thing. But I don't spend a lot on products myself. I don't use any styling mousses. I hate hairspray. I buy the odd conditioning mask, but I can't be bothered, to be honest. So it's basic shampoo and condition, and I'm quite lucky that I've got a lot of thick hair. But I do notice the difference between quite a lot of expensive shampoos and cheap ones. I don't know whether it's just psychological, but anyway, I really like this. The only thing I didn't like was because the products are quite thick, they're really difficult to get out of the bottle as you get towards the end. So I'm throwing those out, even though there's a tiny bit left, but I did really like them. What else did I finish up? I finished up this, which is Heal Gel, an intensive soothe, repair and protect formula. I bought this to try and see if it would help the eczema that I've had persistently on one foot, my right foot in particular. It's so bad at the moment, the skin's peeling, it's actually bleeding. It's really bizarre. I only have it on one foot, and I do have it on one toe of my left foot, but that's all. And at the moment, well, a tiny bit on my back as well. I used to suffer very, very badly as a young teenager for about 45 years, and that was made much worse by wearing anything other than natural fibres, and not wool either. I had to be very careful what I washed in. I didn't wear any fragrance products. Now I'm much less careful these days, and I don't have the problems except bizarrely with my feet. The Heal Gel, it didn't work, didn't do a thing. Just a very basic, unfragranced cooling gel. It was quite expensive. Big, blurb about how great it was to aid recovery, resolve a wide range of skin problems. Didn't do anything for me. Wouldn't purchase it again. Wouldn't recommend it, I'm afraid. I used up a reasonable sample pot of the Laura Mercier. Now I'm going to say the Creamy Silk Foundation, which I hadn't had before. I used to use their Pump Action liquid foundation years ago, and I liked it, and then moved to other brands. I got this really decent sized sample, and I did like it, but it was a bit too thick, a bit too creamy for me, if I'm honest. It wasn't quite the texture I was expecting, because it gets very highly rated, and I do generally rate Laura Mercier products, but this felt I had to kind of work it quite a lot to get it into the skin. So I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it, so I wouldn't purchase that. So I'm grateful that they gave me a decent sized sample, and I do like Laura Mercier products, but that particular foundation just wasn't for me. Also not for me, and this is one I had to bring myself to throw out because I haven't quite finished it, was this dry shampoo by Battiste. I just loathe the smell of it. I do find dry shampoo useful if I just suddenly need to extend the life of my blowout for another day. But this had a really, I think this is called Blush, really, really strong, powdery, sickly fragrance that I would smell for the rest of the day. So that's going. Didn't like that one at all. Now, the other things really I'm throwing away because I've got sick of them. One of them is this body butter that I bought when I was in Greece, mandarin and basil. You couldn't open it and smell it, and it was supposed to be organic. Ho, ho, ho. Look, there are lots of good things to say about organic products, but people, in my opinion, on YouTube in particular, are getting a bit of a bee in their bonnet about organic. It can be just as much of a rip-off as the high-end, hyper-marketed products, and some of the nonsense that's talked about the dreadful things that ingredients can do to your skin are posited on my limited scientific knowledge on a load of hogwash. I've read serious claims that 60% of what you put on the skin is ingested as far as the bloodstream. I mean, this is absolute nonsense. There is no scientific basis for saying something like that. If we sat in our baths and ingested 60% through the skin of the water in the bath, we'd be one, balloon of water. It's just nonsense. Sorry, having a bit of a rant there because there's a lot of it about at the moment, and partly because you often can't test these things properly. This was supposedly organic, supposedly mandarin and basil, but when I got it back, it didn't smell anything like either mandarin or basil to me. It just smelt like a cheap generic floral scent. A high percentage of, I'm going to say shea butter, but supposedly organic olive, almond and calendula, glycerol, of course, I should have known better. But it's very, very thick and it doesn't absorb well into the skin. You really have to massage for a long time. Now, that in itself is not a bad thing, although it's a bit of a pain when you're in a rush after the bath. But apart from not liking the rather cheapy smell, I also found that later in the day, it kind of beaded up on my skin. So my legs would be a bit itchy and I would scratch and would get, kind of little beads of, dried cream. So I really, really didn't like this product. Not that you're likely to be getting it unless you happen to be in Greece. So there we go. That's going out. Another holiday product was this apricot from Turkey. Again, apricot oil. When I got it back and smelt it, to be fair, this one wasn't very expensive in a chemist. Again, horrible commercial smell. I'm very sensitive to smell, and although the consistency of this one was a bit better, I just couldn't live with that smell, so that's going. Teach me to buy things I don't know about. I'm throwing out my two Maybelline colour tattoos. These are very popular again on YouTube, and they're not bad products, but they're not a patch on the high-end competition. I have used this one quite a bit. This is the bronze one, but it's starting to dry a bit, and I just find they do crease on my eyes a bit, which the Tom Ford and the Chanel simply don't. So they're not bad products. I really quite liked the colour of this one. but they're not a patch on the more expensive ones, and I'm not using them, and so they need to go. I'm also slightly regretfully throwing out a palette that I've had for about 4 years. This is a Laura Mercier palette, and I remember buying this in Saks Fifth Avenue in New York. I was slightly conned into buying it by a really good sales associate who assured me that they were absolutely the autumn colours. And what I quite liked was you got 4 fairly neutral shades, 4 eyeshadows, 2 blushes and some lip glosses. It was an autumn palette, and it came actually with some quite nice travel size brushes as well, and a little pouch, and I've definitely kept the brushes. I've used it a lot but barely made an impression. But what I hate about these mix palettes is the lip glosses get all tacky and horrid with the powders. So although these are pretty shades, again, this was a Laura Mercier, I think. Yeah, it's a bad month for Laura Mercier. I do like her stuff usually. That's going. A couple of hair products. So I'd use this Christophe Robin uber expensive French brand. That was the sandalwood hydrating cream, and a Steiner product that I've had for ages. I just don't use these additional hair products. A Smashbox eyeshadow. Used to love Smashbox, still do. Use this a lot, but barely any impression. A bit more of the highlighting colour, but it's all kind of getting sticky around the pot. So that's going. A couple of sample products that I had from hotels whilst I was away. And then an eye pencil by Mally. I'm going through all my eye pencils at the moment and wearing them and seeing if they transfer and give me panda eye, then they go. Mally famously says that they stay put and demonstrates it on the back of her hand on QVC. Of course, they don't move on the back of her hand, but put them on your oily eyelid and something entirely different happens. Some of them work, some of them don't. This brown one didn't, so sadly that's going. And I had a perfume sample of Chanel Chance, and just to prove that I don't love everything Chanel, I hated this. It smelled like really yucky men's toilet freshener aftershave is what I call it. Not my cup of tea at all. I think the first Chanel perfume that I really, really hated, I'm not that keen on cocoa to be honest, but I don't hate it. It's just not my cup of tea. This I really hated. So that's going. So those were my use-ups for March, and I shall be back at some stage with my favourites. Until then, bye for now.